Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19, and welcome back to Sandy Bay, second day of spring. And we are continuing. I'm learning my way around this map, figuring some things out. So we've got, it's not quite housekeeping. We're getting ready with some actual work, but we're still sort of getting the farm sorted out. We're finding our home. So, to that end, we brought two IBCs of liquid fert. We bought 4 pallets of pellet fert, and we bought 4 pallets of seed. We won't need the seed for probably another episode or two. But while we had the flatbed down there, I figured why not? And traffic. We'll get to traffic in a minute. We'll get to traffic on this map. Speaking of map, let's go here. And we got lime on fields 2 and 1. Right over here. Get our mouse going. We got lime on these 2 fields. They need to be fertilized and they need to be subsoiled or plowed. We do own field 2-1, and we'll get to that in a minute also. And then the other thing is way down in this corner, I thought this little icon over here represented another sheep pasture for a total of 3 that we owned. This is actually I don't know, it's not quite a dairy. I think this has something to do with the calf mod, but either way, it's got nothing to do with sheep. So we've got 2 sheep meadows. That is the most you can have on this map, I suppose, unless you bought or placed another one. But we own both of them. The map starts with you owning both of those meadows to begin with. So let's go up here and I'll show you what I'm learning about this map so far. So these facilities, I don't know what you'd call these things right here, I haven't gotten into the water tank yet, but I know I can't fill from this. It's possible that we can fill this, that if we come up here with, this would be what? Pellet fert, maybe? I don't know. Something. Maybe we can fill this. It could also be just a static decorative object. Now, these over here, we own this, by the way. We bought this sprayer setup. These tanks here, I'm really curious about because they have the icon on them. And I would think if they were just decorative items, if they were just static, that Oxygen David would have pulled that logo off. I know I would have, to avoid confusion. I can't fill from these, but it's possible we can fill them. However, there is no trailer that I can find that holds liquid fert. So what we may do is try to fill those from the IBCs. We got our animal trailer put away. This is also where our flatbed is going to live. But at the moment, it is full. But once we empty it out, or empty everything off of it, it's going to live in here next to our animal trailer. Let me see. Over here, we have leased a fertilizer injecting cultivator, a fertilizer injecting subsoiler. We've leased this. I've never used this before on any map, so this will be a first time for me. And that's what the pellet fert is for. Moving over here, when I loaded up the bale trailer, sorry. When I get quiet like that, when I pause like that, I'm buffering. That's what I'm doing. I'm spooling, compiling information. It's a little dark still this early in the morning, not quite 7 a.m. We did get pallet forks. I used those to put everything on down at the store and then brought this rig back up here. We'll use that to unload those pallets and IBCs as well. I put our hay bales in here. You can't load fertilizer from this. This is just static, just a scenery item at this point, as far as I know. I could be wrong about some of this, but I have not found a way to load directly from there. Water tank over here. I have not brought a water tanker over to it, so I don't know if you can fill anything from that. It would be unusual to have 2 water sources on the same farm. Not saying it can't happen. I haven't had a water tanker up toward either one of those. So we've got 6 wool spawn, or 6 pallets of wool spawned. And I assume that means that both of our sheep pastures spawn wool here, because I've never seen more than 4 in any single spawn. So I think this is 1 spawn here, and this is another spawn here. We have our merino sheep right here, and then a little further down the hill. And I found a cutoff to get to our 2 arable fields. We were driving down yonder, and then to the left and up and around and over, there is a track right across these 2 fields here. Now this field here we own, it's a grass field, doesn't have sheep in it. I need to confirm that we can fertilize it and that it is crop grass rather than meadow grass. This field, we're probably going to do our work in this field off camera, because there's no way to get rid of the sheep. And these are Suffolk sheep. If I can, let me check here. They are, let me see, Merino there, Suffolk there. Okay. So that is why we have different, even though we got the sheep at essentially the same time, why we have different wool output. One breed makes slightly more than the other, but I did try to mix it up a little bit. So this is our farm track to get down to these fields. Very happy about that because I don't have to go out on the road. The traffic on this map, you know, I try to keep it positive. I always try to be respectful, and I'm so appreciative of modders and the things that they do. I don't want to ever say anything that could be interpreted as disrespectful to a modder. But the traffic on this map, I don't know what it's all about, man. It goes very, very fast. It does not seem to yield. I know that the AI traffic is a product of giants and their code, but you can definitely control the speed and the density of it. There is a lot of traffic on this map. It goes very, very fast, and it does not seem to have much regard for you as the player. So I will have to turn the traffic off at some point. I have been sent into orbit too many times. It's just too frustrating. So perhaps that will be fixed in V1.1, but my initial hope was that it would not be as bad as Coldborough Park. It is much worse than Coldborough Park. It is the worst traffic that I've ever seen, and I'm just not sure why it is that way. So that's what's going on there. And I believe that covers the entire farm. Yeah, I think it does. Okay, so we will hop in our Class 900. We will get this thing a little closer to our bale trailer that we're using as a general utility trailer. We're using it for everything. We'll get this down closer. We'll take our Scorpion down, and we will lift a pallet of fertilizer, pellet fertilizer, up over this thing, get it loaded up, and then take it over to one of those fields, get it started, and we'll come back and explore a little bit. We need to, we'll drop the bale trailer off the JCB. We'll drop the weight off the JCB. We will get our sprayer system picked up and move it back out of the way, and then we'll take our Scorpion and go grab one of those IBCs and bring it up here and see if we can fill these tanks. That would be cool if we could. If not, we'll just put the IBCs in a corner and load from them. I mean, in a way, that's what they're for. They've got the fittings on them, so you can put either a hand pump or an electric pump on there. So it would not be a big deal on a real farm to load from an IBC. So we can do that if we cannot, set the brake there. If we cannot load up those fixed tanks, if they are just a static kind of scenery item, not a big deal. So let's, in the interest of safety, let's leave the straps on those. You never know. I've seen a lot of spontaneous movement in my farm sim days. The physics in this game is creative, to say the least. And what else? I don't know when my gamepad is going to be here. I'm doing everything I can to get used to this one, but if you see me struggling, that is what is going on. Struggle is real. Okay. So right out here. Beautiful. Next episode. I know it seems like I'm getting ahead of myself sometimes. I very often talk about the next episode when we've barely started this episode. But next episode, I believe we're all going to be... No, that doesn't make sense. I believe we're already going to be... Yes. We're already going to be loading up our bale trailer / utility trailer with wool pallets. Because we should have... Probably by the end of today, we will have 8 of those. And that's quite a bit of wool on day 2. All right, so leave this here for a second. And as you have to do, we're going to take all these straps off just to make sure that we do have access to... We'll start with this one right here. And we'll very carefully get that pulled off. Right. Oh, you know what I need to download? Oh, no, there it is. I was curious if I had activated the little measuring tool for front loaders and wheel loaders, but we have, so we can at least confirm that our pallet forks are level. Right, like so. Lasers, man. I would love to see some lasers. I know it's not entirely realistic, but a lot of things in this sim are not realistic. All right. Carefully. Very carefully. Oh. Oh. I don't know what that caught on. All right. And then we'll slam it down there. Speaking of not realistic, hey man, needs must, yo. All right, and I believe, well, these, you know what, let's do this. Oh. I was going to freeze this thing right here, throw the brake on, hop in the cloths, and open those covers, but apparently the trigger is quite generous, so they opened before we were really even very close. All right, here we go. Got it here somewhere. There it goes. All right, and I think this thing holds 600 liters. Yes, it does. All right, carefully. And what do we want to do with this? We're going to refill this thing relatively quickly. I think for those two fields, we're going to go through quite a bit of pellet fert. So let's just set this on the ground over here so that we don't have anything on our telehandler and we can grab an IBC and take it up and check in. And see if we can fill those tanks. That would be very cool if we could. So we'll leave this here. A little closer, right about here. Oh, beautiful. That time, Farm Sim decides to cooperate. Fantastic. Let's put this right here. Take the weight off the hydraulics. Engine off. And let's get this thing started. And I guess we'll use course play. Hey, why not? All right. So we want to go... we can get up to that little track from here as well. So we'll get up onto that little track across the meadow. Yep, it's right there. Time, 12 minutes. Perfect. Right over here. And we got, I don't know if you saw when we hopped in the animal menu, but we have 150 of the Merino and 150 of the Suffolk. So we got plenty of animals. We don't have a whole lot of money left, but I believe we'll be able to start selling wool almost straight away. And that will hopefully keep us going over the summer. We're also going to need, oh God, we need, I believe one of our breeds will require 199,000 liters of grass and hay, and the other is like 130,000. So I calculated it out. It's somewhere north of 100 bales. Now from these two fields here, if we get 50 bales from each cut, it'll be no problem to hit that number. But I don't know if we'll get 50 bales from each cut. If we do, great. But if we don't, that is, we can purchase to top off, but that will get expensive. So hopefully we can, that's the goal, is to support this entire farm financially from sort of our own devices. I mean, I know that's always the goal, but carefully. This field has the power poles. Tell you what, let's get through here. We'll close the gate and then we'll drive down. We'll work in that other field to begin with because it does not have the power poles. And I haven't checked yet whether or not those power poles have collision on them. Some maps do, some maps don't. All right, whoa. Back out here. And we are using, I think I've mentioned this before, but we are using reshade straight off the NVIDIA card. We're using the built-in presets. I think it looks good. We're using contrast and brightness. We're using sharpen, and we're using vignette. The only problem is contrast, color, contrast and brightness. Yeah, brightness and contrast. Looks a little, I don't know. It doesn't look great early morning and late evening. But it looks fantastic at midday. That's when the game, to me, looks sort of washed out. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be adjusting my settings every time I play the game or trying to trying to chase the dragon and always be adjusting brightness and contrast based on the time of day. But I know it can, the shadows can get a little muddy sometimes, and it can look a little dark. So, for what that's worth. All right, course play, and this is field 2. So we're going to go here. Now, is this, it's got to be fertilizing and seeding because it's not field work. That's grayed out. Course generation, field 2. This thing is very long. It's not very wide. So let's go 4 headlands. We'll start with up and down rows. We don't have any islands yet. 3.1 meters. Current vehicle position. Everything looks good. Ugh. This is what we want, though. Do we not? I'm going to lock this in right now before I forget. So this is field 2. 3 meter sub width fert. All right, just so we know what we used it for. All right, and where is our starting point? It is right down there. Okay, so we'll get rid of, nope, we'll get rid of all that. Eventually, we'll get rid of all that. Right down here, and I think we're, yeah, I can see it from here. We're headed the right way. Right, now, well, all we can do is get it started. This is a base game implement, and I find a lot of mods tend to work better with base game than they do with mods. Things like course play, and that's, I mean, it is what you would expect. There's no way a modder can know what you're going to be using, but you'll certainly be using base game. So I think for the most part, these mods are only really confirmed to work with base game equipment. And we'll have to see how course play sorts out. I mean, it's field work because it's a subsoiler, but it is injecting fertilizer, so it's defaulting to the fertilizer option. Well, what can we do? All right, first waypoint. We do want to stop there, and all we can do is start this thing and see if it's actually giving us the subsoil benefit. I think it almost has to, but I've been surprised before. And I know we won't be going out on the street, but I slowed this down just to be safe. All that's good. All that's good. All that's good. Right. Here we go. And now we can turn this off. All right. So we are subsoiling. That's a bonus. Now we just need to confirm that we are using fertilizer. We are not. So then if we go here, and that would be here. Oh dear. All right. So all of these are, right? We're not buying from anywhere. Let's see what happens here. I'm curious if this thing is actually going to inject fertilizer. It says it hasn't used any at all, and that is a problem. All right. Very stately, very slowly. We're getting ourselves aligned. I thought it might be. What's odd though is it defaults to the fertilizer option in course play, but it's not injecting fertilizer. And it is giving us the cultivated finish, the subsoil finish, even though that's not selected. Man, I don't know. I don't know. It does say, hang on, let's try this. It does say it's not on. You know what? I'm not giving up. Hang on. Let's try this. Do we have a multiple tools option? Would it be here? Would it be here? For unit, this is, first point, interesting. Okay, I don't even think I've ever been in this menu. It's going to filter automatically. All right. Is it here? I don't know. But we got to do something. We can't do this whole field and not get any fert into it. Let's try this. We'll go down to the end of the row, and let's see if we can get this thing working at all. And we'll need to step out of the immersion momentarily. All right down at the end of this row. All right. Eventually, here we are. All right, so it says we can turn this thing on. Let's go over here and just cut in a quick and dirty headland. Get this out of the way. Like so, we turn that on. Okay, so we are using fert, and it's not a question of having lime on the field, and it won't let us apply fertilizer because there's lime. I don't know. Just kind of brainstorming. So let's, where are we at on time? 21 minutes. Let's, okay, we'll mix it up. We're not going to get to the liquid fert and the IBCs today. We'll do that next episode. So what I'll do is I'll cut in a couple headlands, and let's see if we can put this on just a base game worker, just a regular dumb worker, and see if it will trigger the fertilizer injector and the cultivator function, the subsoiler function. Hey man, it's always a problem to solve on the farm. It's true in real life. It's true in the sim. And there may be a setting in course play that I'm just not aware of or not using. If that's the case, please do let me know. And let's try to keep this, yeah, let's try to keep this straight right down here. Are we on? Yeah. Okay, so if we go there. So we do have at least one sort of a cardinal direction, and I believe this is the one we used for the lime as well. So if we do want to come back here and use this as our main, this would be east-west. If we do want to use this as our main east-west direction to keep everything simple for the worker, we'll use this axis right here. All right, 3.1 meters, man. I'll tell you what, these fields are going to take a minute. But this is, there really weren't that many plows or subsoilers that were wider than this that we could handle with the horsepower that we have. So it was going to be 3 or 4 meter anyway. And I figured, why not just get two functions done with one pass? We'll get the fertilizer injected as well. And we'll do that with a 3 meter implement. There is, I believe, a 6 meter or an 8 meter on the other end of the, I don't know, the items list when you go into subsoilers. Yeah, out toward the right, but they're all 400, 500 horsepower, and we just don't have access to equipment that could haul it. So it was this or nothing, and the other options were, like I said, 4 meter anyway, not that much wider than this. But we'll get it all done. And fortunately, we don't need to do this too often, once every 3 years, to get the other 10%. And I think it's worth it, because you get 10% over 3 years, right? And most of the perks that you get from fertilizer in Farm Sim are 30%, except for that one, but because you get it for 3 years, it's also 30% in its own way. So what can you do? And I don't know if we'll have time for a second headland, and I don't think we have enough room with just the one that we've cut in so far, because you can see how long this thing is. I think we're going to need at least 2 or 3 headlands for our class to be able to make a turn. More than that, really, because when you look at the whole rig end to end, yeah, it's pretty long. Okay, well, you know what? Not how I thought this episode would go, but sometimes it works out that way. It's all still just playing on the farm. Nothing to complain about. Right, and how are we doing on volume? We're going to be just about, yeah, just about 12% for one headland. So if we make one more headland, we'll theoretically be about 1/4 empty. Okay, it'll take a few refills for this field, but we did bring down 4 pallets of pellet fert. So I think, I mean, maybe we've got enough for both these fields. Maybe not. But if not, I can take the Rowan trailer back down to the store and buy some more pallets. I'll drive around the farm with one of those IBCs with liquid fert. And also, we don't need herbicide at the moment. We will later. What I'll do is I'll try to drive around the farm with the Scorpion, with everything at some point, right? With each of our consumables on the pallet fork and see if there's any place to store those on the farm, and we just need to find it. It could be that there are tanks to store things in. It could be that there are not. But we'll take a look. If not, we'll bring things down from the store. If there are, I'll bring a bunch down off camera and we'll just fill those tanks so we can fill from those directly. I know there is lime, but so far I haven't found anything else. Right. Yeah, we'll finish off these headlands, put this on a worker, and see if it at least uses the fert when it's on a dumb worker, and then we'll just call the episode right there, because we're coming up on 30 minutes already. All right, too steep a turn, too tight a turn, too sharp a turn. I say yes. I say we would snap the tines off this thing if we try to do that, so we won't. Back up here. And like so. And how we doing? Yeah, we'll be about a quarter empty when we get done. Okay. To be expected. And I'm trying to avoid overlap as much as possible, but this thing is narrow and it's a little bit twitchy, and I can also feel the tractor trying to fall down onto the cultivated surface. I don't know if it's one of the physics, well, not really physics, but something like vehicle control add-on. I don't know if there's something added to the map as far as like a mud mod or something, but the tractor does, it keeps wanting to fall off to the right, which I don't mind. But as narrow as this implement is, you see you see what I'm struggling with? I'm trying to stay as far to the right as possible so we don't have any gaps. But I'm also, the further I go to the right, the more likely it is that I'll fall off the uncultivated field. Challenges, man. I love them. All right. So right around here, that's not quite as tight a turn. Maybe though. You look how long those tools are sticking off the back. There'd be a lot of leverage on those from side to side as we made a turn that tight. So, all right. Yeah, we'll lift it right here. This is perfect. We're at 28 minutes. We'll go down here. We'll put this on a regular base game worker and see if it injects fertilizer. If it does, I guess that'll have to be it, unless I can get courseplay working. No matter. What I'll do is I'll extend this headland out off camera, and we will put it on just a regular worker. All right. So we lift that. Get over here on the grass verge. Head right down here. And let's just confirm, let's just confirm that we're a regular worker. Not an irregular worker. Just a regular worker. And that is right. Hey. Stop, I said. That is right there. And we want alternative worker. Oh, God. This is much bigger than it used to be. Let's just turn that off. Active side, left, vehicle mode. Straight like normal worker. Hey. Wait during on. I don't think we need any of these. Turn that on, off. This is all new. I haven't seen this since since I used the worker a minute ago. Last time we were in 19. Let's get rid of this, just so we have no problems. All right. Here we go. All right. Seems to be. We hop back in here. And it is injecting fertilizer. Okay, so the dumb worker will do it. Slow down this cruise control just a bit. There we go. So the dumb worker will do it. Hey, you know what? Let's just wait till they get to the end of this row and see how they do turning. I think there's enough headland for at least the cloths to fit, but I don't know if the implement will get all the way to the edge of the line. So let's check and see how this is. But I'll extend out the headland off camera. So off camera, our worker will be fine. I'm just curious how it's going to perform if we don't extend that out. Golly, it's a big field for 3 meter. What can you do? This game has its moments, though. It is in its own way a lot better looking than FS19. I think the gameplay is not quite there. I think some of the really good mods are missing, but it has its moments. Definitely does. All right. How's our turn going to work? All right. It's actually going to work just fine. There you have it. Let's get rid of this. And I'll keep working. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out the Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Farming Simulator 19. This is Sandy Bay. We'll see you next time. Take care now.